All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining me on the line, UFC fighter Justin Tafa, mate. Welcome.
What's up, bro?
How's the body feeling? Getting ready for your upcoming bout.
So, man, I'm deep in the trenches right now. It's just it's very it's very repetitive right now. It's train, sleep, train, sleep. So
What's your?
deep in the trenches, man.
I was gonna say, what's your regular sort of day look like? Is it wake up 6 a.m., go for a run? Like, what's your sort of daily training look like?
Yeah, I wake up like 4:45, train at 5:30, have a little rest, train again 9:30, then I train at 4:30 in the other.
So 3 times. Jeez.
Yeah, but they're not all intense, but yeah, far out. It's a lot of
Is
work, man.
Is it, because obviously an MMA fighter, your family's got a rich history in combat, obviously a lot of kickboxing as well. Is it equally distributed, or are you kinda like do you like spending, a bit more time on the kickboxing than jiu-jitsu?
No, man. I think it's the opposite. I think I more put the time into the other things because obviously the striking comes a bit more natural, so doesn't have to have as much work put into it. But at the same time, putting it all together as a whole is it's another thing in itself.
Yeah, that, just a Samoan heritage. I'm pretty sure you're born with a K1 title, like, immediately.
Very far.
Like, is there any sort of jujitsu guys that you look up to, that have, the same cultural background and whatnot? Because obviously, like I said, thousands of kickboxers, but in
Yeah,
in the jujitsu world?
man. I look up to BJ Penn.
Yep.
He's a fellow Polynesian, and he was a phenom back in his day. He was the prodigy. He's submitting people. He's a fast black belt, and someone with kind of like the similar bloodline as being another Islander. And yeah, man, he was a killer too.
And, so you liking the jujitsu, or are you just kinda going, "Nah, this is what I gotta work on because I've got to equal to the striking?"
No, lucky, wherever I can finish a fight, I want to learn. So it saves all the damage on the hands, man. So hopefully one day I get a submission.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like we talk about your family being having a lot of combat experience. Was there any option of you not being a fighter, or were you just like, man, I got to do it?
No, man, it was never something I thought I was gonna do when I was at school. Like I always thought I'd play rugby league or rugby union or go to university, but we never shied away from a fight at the same time. So it wasn't, if you were to ask my school friends, was it surprising that I would become a fighter? They would say no. So it's one of those things, yeah.
Well, you talk about the rugby, and you got as basically as close as you can get. Signed with the Melbourne Storm and whatnot. Was that heartbreaking when that side of your sporting career came to an end?
No, not really. Like I left knowing that, I tried my best and I lost the fire. And, one day I couldn't sleep before footy games. That's how much passion I had for the sport. And then come a game where I just didn't even want to play. And I knew then that, there's something else there for me. And I kind of left like, content that I gave him my best shot. And I got as close as I got.
Was there any main reason, or was it just the injuries and stuff you picked up along the way?
Yeah, like when I was younger, I used to put it down to injuries and family things. But now that I'm much more mature and older, I knew I just wasn't good enough as a footy player. Like some of these guys were just guns, man, and like hats off to them now, man. Some of them play Origin, and so at least that makes me feel at ease. That they're all they're superstars.
Yeah, that's the age old, like, if someone beats you, you want them to win the world title because then you're like, "Hey."
Yeah, 100. Yeah, 100%.
Is there anyone in the NRL rugby union, anyone that you think, "Man, they should get into MMA?"
Man, probably like guys like Brendan Smith or
Yeah?
Victor Radley. Those guys that are just got their mongrel already and are pretty good at the wrestle. Man, I think they would transition nicely because they They're tough, man.
Well, that's like every year when I watch rugby league, the one time is State of Origin, and I'm like, fight, fight, fight. So it's not like I'm not even watching rugby for the rugby. I'm like, just
Yeah,
scrap on.
100%.
Now, mate, is there any? We hear about all these great, Polynesian heritage males. Are there any up and coming female fighters? Because if I know anything, they're the better fighters.
Yeah, man. To be honest, I don't really know a ton of up and coming Polynesian female fighters, but shout out to all the ones that are already kind of like established, like Jenna Fabian and whatnot. You know, those are the ones I'm still rooting for to do big things. But man, I know there's a ton of them, man, that are pushing their boyfriends around or somewhere around.
Now, mate, it's been over a year since you've gotten in the cage. I do have to address you going down in history as the first ever fighter to weigh over the heavyweight limit.
Yeah.
Talk us through that, because it's a very bizarre situation, and it's not like you were 145 pounds. Like, it's not like it's going to make a huge difference, but it's
Yeah.
still, what was going through your head when you weighed over 120 kilos at the weigh-in?
No, man, you know, so I usually cut weight anyways for heavyweight, and it just didn't go well. I don't know, something was wrong or whatnot, but it was a very tough build up to that fight. You know, I traveled 3, 4 states just to try to find the visa and get the ticket to fight. So people don't see how much traveling does to the momentum in the training camp. You know what I mean? I was like 2 weeks in Queensland and a week and a half in Melbourne and then a week and a half somewhere else, and it was really tough in those last quarter of that camp to really get momentum going and up in the weight. But there's no excuse in that. But at the same time, man, history, bro. 300 grams at 120 kilos isn't as much as 300 grams to like
Yeah,
a bantamweight,
yeah. What do you normally walk around at?
I usually walk around like 136. 136 is my weight I walk around. Man, I don't have chicken legs. If I was, I would be a middleweight, So
What were you when you were playing rugby?
I feel like 120. Well,
Sheesh.
man, I was a lot younger back then, man.
Mate, now I gotta ask you, you fought on like pay-per-view cards, you fought on the UFC card on ABC, fight nights, now got one coming up in Australia. Is there a difference on what type of card you fight on?
Nah, man, honestly, I fight's a fight. Whether it's here, whether it's at the pub down the road, you know what I mean? A fight's a fight. That's how I feel about it. And before, maybe it did affect me, like, oh man, big crowd. But when you go to like the biggest crowd ever in history at 243, and then fighting at somewhere like the Apex, man, I think you kind of learn to just fight, man.
Now, I've mentioned your family, and the reason why I do is because there's such a huge love, and every fight, every time you get on the mic, you mention the Tafa gang, and can you just put into words how special that connection is?
Yeah, it's everything to me. My mom's like one of 12, so and then they have all my cousins. So I got like 100 cousins, and and how tight I am with my cousins are the equivalent to how some people could be as tight to their siblings. So when we go into war, we know that they're there right behind us, stressing out. So it's special when we come out of it and we come out unscathed. We can come back and we hold a massive feed. We kill a few pigs and a couple cows, and it just gets us through there. Yeah.
Is there a couple of family members or guys you train with that just aren't putting it together under the lights, but in the gym is like the best fighter?
Man, if anyone knows my youngest brother, so I got a younger brother, Junior.
Yep.
But my baby brother, like those in my gym know he can punch on.
What's his name?
Like his name's Butsy. So he man, he could beat a lot of guys right now if he wanted to. He just right now he's young and he's just on the prowl for for the women. So until he puts down those beer goggles and puts on the gloves, man. Nah, but definitely my brother's my youngest brother. I hold him high because he gets me and my brother ready, and we come out good. So he can only be good. You know what I mean? To be able to be on that level.
And growing up, like you said, you never shy away from a fight. Were there times where you thought you might go down the wrong path, or has it always been, nah, I'm going to be a pro?
Yeah, I think we could have if we stayed in New Zealand a bit longer. Right after school, we moved here to Australia, and obviously it's a lot more opportunities here, and the pay here is better. Cost of living is cheaper, and when I moved here and I moved my brothers and my mother here, it kind of gave us that kind of ease to have the freedom to do other things, and not worry about roaming around the streets and that. So it definitely could have been a curveball, but yeah, just thankful, I guess.
And what's been your toughest moment so far in your MMA career?
I think it's just balancing the personal stuff with the fight stuff, like you can't disregard family life and things that happen in your personal life. So like me and my partner, like having a miscarriage and whatnot
Yeah.
halfway through a camp, you got to carry that and still make the fight and then deal with those kind of emotions, and then at the same time the emotions of a fight camp. It's tough, man. You lose a kid and not try to lose a fight.
What
Not very many people can get past that kind of stuff.
what fight was this for?
I think it's the Carlos Felipe fight. I was burying my kid, had my son's fifth birthday, and at the same time getting ready for a freaking brawl.
And if you don't mind me asking, how far along was she?
She was like 21 weeks, so
Man, that's
yeah,
horrible.
yeah, yeah, 100%. But these things happen, and people don't see that kind of side. Like I was still carrying that burden during that fight, and then they had to rob me of the fight too, so it made me even worse. And they robbed me of the 50K fight of the night, mate. At least they came in threes, and that was the end of that.
A-
Hopefully, yeah.
And how do you get yourself back on track? Because that would break most men.
Man, just the support system I have. Got my brothers around me, and got it's my family. That's why we're so passionate about representing our family and shouting them out, because they're the ones there, in the tough times, as well as the good times.
And is there anyone specifically that kind of leads the way in terms of supporting you mentally and emotionally? Is it your partner? Is it your younger
Yeah,
brother? Like, is it?
this is my partner. She's like my rock, and obviously my two sons. They're the ones that keep me solid. They I have a hard sparring session, and then you ask me to take him out to time zone. So we're like, oh, yeah, that's right. I'm a dad. So uh, they keep me solid, man. If it wasn't for them, man, I don't know where I'd be.
Are they gonna fight, or are you gonna be one of those fathers that's like, no, 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 I'm fighting, so you don't have to?
Yeah, my son's a good footy player, so I don't try to push them or anything. I just tell them whatever they want to do, just try your best. That's all you can ask for. And man, if he wants to put on the gloves, I'll be there just biting my nails down. Nervous. Yeah.
Now, have you got a plan for after fighting? You mentioned uni and stuff. Are you gonna want to end up going back, or are you gonna want to coach? Like, what's your thought process?
I think I want to do something with youth,
Yeah.
especially in troubled communities, using martial arts as some sort of way of finding a more positive outlet. Like that's something I'm passionate about too. I was a social worker before I become a full-time fighter, and a lot of people get dealt the short hand and off the get-go. So that's something I want to do later on after my fighting career is finished.
And what was the passion behind the social worker? Is it just growing up in New Zealand and seeing what you saw, or is there something more behind it?
Yeah, man. I grew up in Auckland. I grew up in Logan, man. So
Yeah, I've been
there were
been to both.
two. Yeah, you know, if I'm one of the lucky ones, and I know some people don't get that kind of their luck. So I want to be that person that could raise their chances of a better life, I guess.
Yeah, that's incredibly honourable. When it comes to the year you had off, was that how did you find that mentally? Were there injuries at play? Was it just sort of COVID-y related stuff? Like what was with the long layoff?
Yeah, man. 3 surgeries, big surgeries too. I was trying to get through some camps, but I couldn't even get to training, and I was in so much pain. And I'm someone that can handle a lot of pain. So when I knew that I was in a lot of trouble, oh, man, a lot of trouble for me is a lot of trouble for someone else. So I had to get these injuries sorted because I'm still quite young as well, like in the fight game. And for the longevity of my career, it was just the smarter thing to do. But it come with the stresses of not fighting and not getting a lot of income. And that's what I'm looking forward to February.
What are you doing in the meantime for income? You like doing PT sessions or scaffolding? I don't know.
um, I've been blessed, man. I've had a good group of sponsors
Yeah.
around helping me out. Always asking too if I need any help, and yeah, they've got me by this last year, man.
That's cool. And we're really looking forward to seeing you in Perth and taking on Parker Porter. It's going to be an absolute cracker of a bout. Everyone loves seeing you crack on. The one thing I want to ask you before I let you go, when this is all said and done, how does Justin Tafa want to be remembered?
I just want to be remembered as a guy that laid his heart there in the octagon whenever he fought. Someone that just epitomizes toughness and heart, will, and at the same time having a smile while he's doing it.
Mate, thanks for being so raw and taking the time and being open and transparent. And I'm sure all of Australia is going to get behind you. And I can't wait to see you fight in Perth. Thanks for taking the time, dude. And I'll see you next time.
No, I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Take it easy, sir.